Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Multiverse TV. I am Peter, and joining me on this special Action Comics 1000 special edition. It's so special.
It's special twice.
Can you feel the speciality of the whole thing? Matt, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
You like Superman, or so I hear.
Yeah. Pete wouldn't change his shirt to yellow because he claims he doesn't have one.
I don't own a yellow shirt. What do you want from me?
Just saying. It could have been great. Now it's going to be mediocre.
Well, for people listening and not seeing the visuals here, Connor's in a red shirt because he wanted to match his hair, and then Matt is kind of in a blue shirt. It's not that.
It's not kind of blue. It is blue.
It's not that strong a blue though, Matt. It's not that strong.
It's kind of coming off a little bit grey.
It is.
Well, because it's that steel blue. If I got closer, it would reveal a Superman logo, and I can't do that. So,
look,
you know.
I'm just saying, our entire overlay is blue, and your shirt, by comparison, is looking grey.
Well, I'm just saying. And for those listening, Pete's not wearing a shirt, so enjoy that visual.
Just my natural brown hair. Thank you very much this evening.
He looks like a rug that jumped up off the floor and is now running amok. Yeah, Connor's laughing.
I'm just
you can only
Pete's not, because it's a little too close to true.
Matt, you can pretend that they can't see something. You can't make up things they're not hearing.
No, I just said it looks like your body hair makes you look like a rug that jumped up off the ground. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, but then you said Connor's laughing as if, oh, that'll trick them. Connor's laughing at my joke.
To the listeners, he was laughing.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I can have a very silent laugh.
You don't.
Yeah, you have a soul, Connor. You just ruined it.
To be fair, I do sometimes have a really silent laugh.
Connor, you've been here for, I mean, you've missed a few, but it's been 99 goddamn episodes. They're familiar enough with what it sounds like when you're giggling along.
But not when something's like properly hysterically funny. That's when I go silent.
Weird. I did the opposite.
That is the best motivation I've ever had to be as funny as hell.
Yeah, well, you haven't been funny since, so why start now, right?
Well, starting off on a positive point on this one, aren't we? What is this episode? This is not a regular episode. In fact, our last episode was number 99. Coming up this weekend is episode 100, where we talk about the rest of the books this week that we read from DC Comics.
Hey, yeah. Are we in the Phantom Zone of numbers? Is that where we are?
Kind of, yes, we're in the Phantom. We've been banished. Jor-El's put us in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, man.
I know. What can you say? We tried to overthrow
Does that make you Jor-El? I mean, Zod, not Jor-El.
Fine. I guess you're non then.
Yeah, Connor.
Connor's Ursula.
Where's Jackson? No, I have dibs on Lauron. Lauron was in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's cool.
Alright, Connor can be Mon-El. He was trapped in the Phantom Zone for years.
Yeah. No one likes him on Supergirl, so...
Really not. They started teasing this week, though, that he's going to get his proper costume back, so, I mean, that's nice.
Hey.
What do you mean get it back?
Oh,
well, no, because he had it in the past tense. He says that he used to have this suit, but it got damaged.
Alright. Well, I haven't seen the episode yet.
Aye.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it's basically the inverse of the Superman, where it's a red suit with a blue cape.
Yes, but no logo, just...
No logo, yeah.
Just all colour.
Just all colour, yeah. That's the thing. So what we talk about today, though, Action Comics 1000. Milestones. Also, 80th anniversary of Superman. Action Comics number 1, 80 years ago. Not quite today, because we're recording this a day later, but yesterday was the 80th birthday. Because it just so happened that the birthday fell on a Wednesday, which is why they pushed the book a month, because, like, hey, we can have it on the actual birthday.
That can't be more perfect, can it?
It can't be. It's almost like it happened to fall in the same week as our 100th episode. That couldn't have been planned. That couldn't have been predicted. DC moved it at one point, and it's like, oh, you've moved it right into this week. That's great. We can only hope they move Detective Comics 1000 next year a few weeks so it hits our 150. But I doubt it'll happen. But we'll see. You never know.
See what the dates line up.
So Action Comics 1000, 80-page prestige issue, bunch of stories by bunch of different creators. We'll talk about who the creators are as we go through it. We're going to go through the stories one by one. We're going to talk about them, and obviously, and I'm glad they did this because it's also better for a format for this show. Is that the Bendis story is at the end, so we can save that for the end, which is just kind of nice. as the giant-ass dog, who's too senile to be called Crypto, started sauntering into the matchroom.
No, his given name is Crypto. He just doesn't respond to it. So
audio listeners aren't missing anything.
No.
No,
he just got up. He was sitting in here with me, and now he's probably gonna go terrorize the cat. So,
good job.
Yeah.
Cat better fight back.
Oh, the cat. Oh no, he's afraid of the cat. But I mean terrorize the cat. I mean he goes and eats the food from the cat's room, and then comes back, and here he is right there. I know he's gonna be loud. So.
He's so loud. I have never heard a dog be that loud.
Yeah, it's mostly because he's mostly deaf, so he has no idea how loud he's being. It's also the wood flooring I have in here.
Outside of barking, of course, that's louder. But I just mean in terms of walking around. That's
he's not much a barker either. That's the smaller ones I have. So, but yeah, that's. Anyways, Bendis stories last, which is great because it felt like you could build up to it.
I think it also makes just sense from the point of it's leading into the next things, so it just makes sense to put it at the end because it's the only one that has a cliffhanger because it's going to be continued, whereas everything else is either a conclusion in some way to the current runs, even though they're getting another issue or two each, and then a lot of the other stuff is just sort of standalone little stories by fairly big creators as we're going through this. So I'm just going to tackle these story by story. We'll talk about them, and at the end we'll do our usual thing where we pick our best. Top 5, we'll pick our best art, best cover, and so on, because we can do all that with this one issue. Why not?
There's enough. There's 10 stories in here, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. And at the end, we'll also have just a general conversation about the importance of Superman and what he means to us. And Matt can basically monologue for about 10 minutes about his favourite boy in blue, and about supporting cast that he might like from him that don't exist anymore. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get cracking into Action Comics 1000. As I scroll through the 10 goddamn covers in the digital version before I get to the first actual page. Oh, here we go.
A lot of covers.
Well, and these are just the
regular ones.
The regular ones, yes. There's something like 30 retailer exclusive covers if you want to go hunting for those, by some very notable artists. So the first 2 stories actually are again kind of making sense in that they're kind of cappers to the current runs. So the first story is by current Action Comics writer Dan Jurgens, who's also done the art on this issue. Also does art, just for the record. Dan Jurgens does that. I'm saying that because
that down, are you?
Sorry? Well, no, it's that story that I told a couple of weeks ago about the guy who said, "Oh no, I only want artists to draw in my book," and walked away. Yeah, Matt, you were here for this.
Yes, I know.
Okay, you're looking at me very confused, like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, that's just I've been up since 4:30, so it's
Oofed.
I'm gonna be wonky-eyed.
Oofed. Right, so this story is called from the city that has everything, and it's Superman's in space. He's fighting off alien threats. And Lois, meanwhile, is trying to get him to come down because there's a thing happening, and it turns out there's a Superman Appreciation Day. There's a stage, there's a bit of a parade, whole 9 yards, and Superman is kind of reluctant. He's like, no, I've got people to save, I've got aliens to go fight. I don't want to do this. This makes me uncomfortable. All this
people
credit.
Tell me thank you.
Yes, all this credit. It's not for me. And honestly, the most notable thing about this one is probably the fact that Lois gets to do the shirt opening thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, John even cracks a joke. Hey, she's been waiting to do that all day. So, I guess my only critique of the art in that page would be that she looks a little bit too upset about it.
Yeah, almost like he's making me do this.
I feel like there should be a bit of a smirk in her face or something. But hey, otherwise the art's pretty solid. Dan Jurgens, obviously a classic.
You know
Superman
what you
artist.
get with Jurgens, don't you?
Yeah. Maggie Sawyer's there. She speaks on his behalf, tells a story about him saving people. We get this ex-con who's kind of reformed, and Clark's even like, "Oh, I do remember him." It's this whole thing, and the whole time this is going on, Lois keeps been on the phone, and it sounds like she's talking to Perry. No, Clark's busy. He's busy today. You can't call him in. Yep. But the big twist of the issue, and again, because these are all shorter stories, even this one, which is probably one of the longer ones, is still short compared to a regular issue. the whole thing, Wonder Woman sort of stops Superman from running off to go and save the day, and it turns out that the entire time she's been talking to Batman on the phone, because the Justice League have been taking care of the threats to make sure he's got his day to celebrate. And we have the entire...
with a little assist from Martian Manhunter, throwing some psychic blocks in there.
Oh, of course, yeah. And we get that big double page of like the entire Justice League and some Green Lantern Corps members and Supergirl's there.
Everyone.
Yeah, Brewster Gold's there. No Connor Kent, no, funnily enough.
Because he's not back yet. Calm down. He'll be there.
Yet.
This guy.
Well, that reminds me. For the occasion, because there's Special Action 1000, I whipped out Matt's old button, so here you go.
Hey, this one's much better than the last one.
Remember when this one used to make him mad?
It did, yeah. I remember when he got mad at the "Have you seen my imaginary friend Connor Kent" button.
Imaginary, he's real.
So I did like this first story then, the Jurgens.
I like it.
What does the dog think? That's the important part.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Okay.
No, but no, I liked it. It was a nice kickoff. It felt of an era though. It felt very much. Not even of the new Jurgens era, but it felt very of the 90s Jurgens classic.
Yeah.
I would say that John being there, obviously.
Yeah, other than John being there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't really feel like too much of a capper from his run, but it was still nice.
No, I think it's it's the perfect way to start the book, because it's everyone there going, hey, you're the reason we're all here. And that's kind of the point. That's why we're doing this celebration issue. Is like, yeah, you're the reason all of this stuff's happened. So it's a nice place to start because of that.
Yeah, it works and it works. And it's one because I think this one and then the Tomasi one, and then obviously the Bendis one because it's actually the things. The other ones that feel like they're definitely in continuity to an extent. Not that this has to be. This could just be a random thing, but I mean, there's no reason why it's not in continuity. There's nothing to say.
No, it's just a regular day, basically.
Yeah, regular day with a Superman parade. But no, it all works. And no, like you say, I think it's a sweet kind of intro. I mean, let's be honest, most of this book is a love letter to Superman in some way. Yeah. Which does take us on to the Tomasi and Gleason, which is basically a story told entirely in full-page spreads. In fact, you could almost go as far to say that they're all cover quality. They're all pin-up quality.
Mm-hmm. They are, yeah.
They're all basically posters that just happen to have text. And basically, the simple plot of this one is that Vandal Savage is basically trapped Superman in some sort of weird time trap, this time loop thing.
Yeah.
Which sends him going through... So, let's be honest, on a meta level, this is an excuse to have a series of pages where Superman's in his various costumes throughout the eras, doing very similar things we've seen him do in various time periods. So you've got him punching gangsters, you've got him stopping a train.
It's a history lesson.
Yeah. You've got him picking up a tank, you've got all these things.
What this is here, this is... You know how they did all the variant covers, which are all the decades? Mm-hmm. This is that, just with a story over the top of it.
Story written to it.
Pretty much. That's very true. Yeah.
And I like it how it starts where he's fighting gangsters, and he mentions, like, he can't fly, but he can jump real high, and he's super strong. And it's completely different than he moves on to stopping the train, and and how he feels different through the eras, but he's still pretty much the same. So
and it does that whole where he goes, I know I couldn't have done this, but I feel like I've done this before.
Yep.
That whole, okay, in some ways, kind of all of it has happened.
It's acknowledging the reboot nature of comics and the kind of
the different almost parallel dimensions he's jumping into and out of, but the one anchor point that keeps him focused is his family, and every time he does something in one of these, he jumps out because of his family, and then it throws him into the next one.
And I'm pretty sure most of these pages are references to actual classic moments in some way or another. I mean, there's one that's basically a Dark Knight Dark Knight Returns homage to the Lightning.
Even thanks Miller on that.
Yep.
In the signature in the bottom corner.
Yeah, you're quite right. And you've got the Silver Banshee cover. You've got him in his Return of Superman black outfit.
Oh, and look who's behind him. Steel and the Metropolis Kid.
That's funny. Why is John wearing that outfit? That's weird.
That's not John, buddy.
I don't know who you're talking about, Matt. I'm just seeing a blur. There's there's steel, and then there's like a sort of blur in the other side.
Well,
So
I see
a red and blue blur. You're going there.
Red, blue, blur. I like so jumping from that page where he's fighting Mongol. Who Mongol's like low key one of my favorite Superman villains, even though he's been more of a
He's nothing like Loki.
Green Lantern villain. Huh?
He's nothing like Loki.
Every
No,
time.
he's a.
It was a joke. Move on.
I thought. Say no, I can talk Thor if you want, but I'm here to talk Superman. Okay. But after it's a animated series villains because you have Jaxer and I can't remember the lady right there, but I mean it's supposed to be Zod and.
Oh, you mean the Superman the movie homage almost with the Phantom Zone glass and the fortress, yeah.
Yeah, but even the villains are very Dini-esque, or not Dini-esque, but the Timverse, So I like that, and then you get the Kingdom Come page, which seeing Gleason's versions of all of these, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is basically, hey Gleason, show off for 10 pages.
Yeah.
It's basically it's almost like here's a series of page ideas, and then Tomasi went, okay, I'll kind of do a story that kind of fits all these together somehow, some way. I think because of that, there is like almost stiltiness to it, but I can't deny that I had fun flicking through them and being like, oh, and or no.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think part of it's a little cheap. They're all one page because it kind of feels, cynically, they're padding, right, the 80 pages, but they all look so nice. I don't care.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's padding. I'd say it's more like you can't conventionally do a story like this for a lot of reasons, but I think as one story in an anthology it works well enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd love to get all the art without all the caption boxes on for a lot of these. They'd make some great foam backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yes, they would.
So no, it ends with him. It's his birthday, and he's got a cake. And again, it literally was Superman's birthday. The release of this.
I haven't counted them, but I assume there's 80 candles because there is a lot on that cake. No, don't count them.
I'm not counting them, but I'm just looking at it. And I'm thinking I don't think that's enough to be 80.
Yeah, but if you think if it goes all the way around as well.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay, but
because there's a lot on the bottom.
Okay, sure. If you assume there's double because there's another side to it. I just meant visually. I don't think you can see 80.
Yeah, so there's at least 40 on that bottom tier right there.
Do you think?
Yeah, if you count them all the way around.
Oh right, yeah.
So, but anyways, Crypto's there. Crypto's a good boy. We all know that.
Crypto's a good boy.
Yeah. You've read that story, right? Crypto a good boy, where it's.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
So this was called Never Ending Battle by Tomasi and Gleason. So, so there you go. That was story number 2. Next up, we got An Enemy Within. This is by Marv Wolfman, art by Curt Swan. And as I understand it, this was actually old pages of Curt Swan's art that Marv Wolfman just sort of wrote a story onto.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Page 5 was courtesy of Superman: The Secret Years #2.
Yeah.
So that's really the only one that was finished of those with the actual, as I understand it, as it went out.
I think page 5 is the final page of that story.
Yeah.
Which is the full page.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the art looks a little bit different now, so that makes a lot of sense. So it's basically this story of this guy who's being controlled into this to be a hostage taker, and Maggie Sawyer and that don't realise, oh wait, no, he's being controlled, it's not really him. But then it turns out, oh no wait, they're using rubber bullets, even they're being compassionate.
Which I feel with how it goes in the original story, it was not rubber bullets. I'm just
not.
Yeah. But yeah, I read that and went, oh, okay, this is kind of, I appreciate what they were trying to do because it is Curt Swan, but Superman really doesn't show up until that last page.
No, because it's supposed to be about it was Brainiac is trying to control people, which unfortunately is the only Brainiac story we really get in the book. I thought it was okay though. I mean, just in the idea of Superman, like, oh no, my faith in people has been held up because they didn't kill him.
No, I don't think it's the best story, but I think it's the best that you can get given the challenge of, okay, here are these pages, now make a Superman story out of them.
Yeah.
They did the same in the Swamp Thing, where they took the unfinished Linween and wrote around that.
Well, they never actually wrote around that, though. They just
posted the art and then just the script stuff, right?
Afterwards, because that's why it was just on the back of the actual main King story, so that it wasn't on its own. Then next up we had Superman in the Game. This is Paul Levitz and Neil Adams, with Adams also doing the art. Which I have to admit, when I saw those names, I was like, Adams, okay, this is going to be batshit insane. And
yeah, but he had Levitz to rein him back in.
That is true. Well, clearly that's the case because they play a game of chess, and
it's such like Silver Age Luthor. Like, that Levitz couldn't help himself to give him that Gene Hackman-y, maniacal Luthor. And I loved it.
Even the fact that he has kryptonite chains come up and like wrap Superman up. And Superman, you get that big page of him breaking the kryptonite chains. He's like, but how it's kryptonite? And he's like, my friend Mr. Miracle gave me a mother box. And that let me feel okay for enough time.
Sorry, I have a question. Is this only in the digital version?
What? I don't think so.
Because this isn't in my copy, and even I'm looking at the credits page, like the contents at the start. I go from an enemy within to the car.
So Coro's got a defective copy of Action 1000.
Hang on, I've got 2 copies. Let me check my other one.
Check the other one, because I got the digital first, right? Because I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
As you do. No,
it's not. It's not in the physical copies.
Oh snap!
Ah.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to buy it for a third time.
I mean, it's like a 4-page story, and it's not the best one in the book by any means, but
yeah, but I need to read it.
You got a defective copy of the book. I had no idea there was a digital exclusive.
I didn't either. This is news to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they're just it's their differences, as Luthor's thinking that he has a trap set, but Superman's prepared for that by invoking a mother box from Scot-Free to get him out of the kryptonite chains. So,
yeah, it's a complete Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh, can mother boxes do that now? Okay. Yeah, out of nowhere, sure. And that's basically it. Lex Luthor's all grumpy. He's like, that's Superman. I'll get him one day. That's just a goofy little story. And then we go on to The Car, which is the Geoff Johns and Richard Donner story with Oliver Coipel on the art. And this is basically almost like a fun little... I say fun, it's got a very it's probably got the moodiest tone of the book, but I say fun in the sense that they basically take Action Comics #1, specifically the cover, and the idea that Superman wrecked this car full of gangsters, and it's a gangster getting his car worked on the next day, and Superman coming to see him to sort of let him try and convince him to get his life on track, and some really good imposing stuff in here. Like the shot of on the second page of this where the guy, the mechanic's asking him, like, oh, so what, did you hit an elephant? And you just see this like flashback of like the car lights hitting Superman before it hits him.
Yep.
It's really
so the man wearing red underwear. Like, I felt like that was the under theme to this, was the red shorts are back.
Actually, honestly, I was surprised in the first story they had them on. I really thought it was going to be no trunks until the Bendis story. As if, okay, by the end he's got the trunks again. But no, every single story.
The other piece of art I really liked, it's on the 3rd page, and it's him looking up in the sky, and it's a bird. He looks up higher, and it's a plane, and then it's Superman. Like, it's such a Johns. This is such a Johns story. This is why Johns is my favorite writer, because he can take this little, the cover of Action Comics #1, and then tell a story around that, So, and I wonder how much Donner put into. But it's I just like to think that they came up with it together.
Yeah,
but John's the heavy lifting.
There's something surreal about seeing that original costume, but in like modern comic art. Like, here, actually defined and coloured and shading.
Yeah,
and...
I love the boots, with the braces of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and I like the moral of the story too. Superman going, you're better than this. Like, those guys you're hanging out with aren't really you. And he's like, I understand you had a rough upbringing, but why don't you try to do something good?
Yeah.
And it's all about how Superman. Exactly, and that's how Superman, how people relate to him.
Yeah.
But he stops to talk with this guy. Like, Superman doesn't have to, but he goes and finds this guy that was the driver of the car, and they have a conversation, and it just, man, that's why I love Superman. Was in this story.
Yeah. Also, it's taken the Golden Age, because Golden Age is kind of a rougher time in terms of the comics, because Superman and Batman were going around killing people left and right.
Times
changed.
That was the thing with Superman, is he operated in the day, Batman operated at night, and Superman wouldn't hesitate to drop a dude off a building, like, yeah. and Batman wouldn't hesitate to pull out a gun and ice him. So,
which
it's a different time.
It's really dark. I mean, it's almost, when you think about it, imagine putting that in a movie, Superman as normal, not under red kryptonite, not under control, just
Zack Snyder, gotcha.
Would just casually drop people off buildings because the bad guy, yeah, kill him. Yeah. That's terrifying.
It'd be a great, threat tactic. Like, you gonna give me the information? Fine, I'll drop you. Then just go down, catch him. Right, now you're gonna talk.
Oh sure, yeah. If it's just intimidation, sure, but
some of the comic podcasts I listen to during the week, they've been doing Superman themed, and one of them did a top supervillains of Superman, right? And one of the guys was talking about Bizarro, and someone's like, "Oh, he's not a villain." He's like, "Yeah, but in the right eyes, he is." And he gave his pitch, what he would love for a Superman movie that'll never happen, is you start the movie in like the first 15 minutes, you see Superman doing stuff that we see him do. And then suddenly he starts doing bad things, like he wipes out a bridge, he is, plucking cars off the road and throwing them away, and you come to realize that it's Bizarro, right? And so it kind of subverts those things that we think about Superman, and makes it a little more bizarre. And I thought, man, that'd be great. And it also pay homage to those early comics where he kind of was just a strong man that really didn't, he didn't have to be a role model. He could just do whatever, and it would play with that. So I thought it was real cool.
Yeah, so that's the Johns and Donner story. It's with the gangster going and turning on the hydrant for the kids because it's warm in the summer, and they're because that's the whole theme of the story is it's really warm and sweaty. Connor knows that pain, don't you, Connor?
Oh boy, it's been warm here today, and I am dying.
Let me know when you come visit the desert, bud. Well, we'll talk about warm.
So next up, we have the Scott Snyder in Albuquerque.
I'm on edge now. Every time you say next up, I'm
like, how many stories have I missed? How many were in my copy? So yeah, that's the story with Superman and Lex, and they're at the planetarium in Smallville. And it's basically, we get like a flashback of like how like Lex should have set himself on fire as a kid, but Clark was there and actually used his heat vision to like stop it. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing the whole, they're both kids in Smallville origin, which comes in and out depending on which continuity we're in. But
to me, as a hardcore Superman fan, that is the continuity, whether it's Secret Origin or Birthright. Like those are the ones that I really prefer, because it builds that. Why Lex? It's not just Superman. It's Clark Kent. It's the person that he's a polar opposite from.
It is, and it's also, I like it for Lex in the idea that, I don't know, he's secretly from, he's this small town kid, but trying to be better and bigger.
Well, they're both. It gives them a parallel path. Whereas Superman went into the, hey, I'm gonna do what's best for everybody and help people. Luthor's like, oh no, man, I'm making money. I'm never gonna be poor again. And they both became the peak of their potential. So I like that parallel journey with them. And here I like what Snyder does, because it sets up that parallel really well through their stories. Like it sets them, like with Albuquerque, in the same room with their past parts. Like there's no separate panel. It's all one part. So Yeah.
Yeah, and
really like that.
all the visuals are all like of like planets behind them and like suns and stars exploding. It's all very big and grandiose, even though they're just in a planetarium. But it gives you the imagery of all this insane stuff. Like these, despite the fact that Lex is not up to Superman's level physically, this is still a feeling that you're watching two titans speak about the nature of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, they're fighting for its very existence and so on.
Here was my question. Lex knows that Clark's Superman?
No.
They talk about the 5th season. He goes, I got the eye and the scissors to kill you. So
yeah, they talk about the 5th season, and it just because, you know, like, because Lex is explaining it at first. Like, he doesn't know that Superman's from somewhere like this that will understand it. And then, you know, he joins in, and Lex is like, okay, you get it. You're from somewhere like here, too. Not necessarily Smallville, but, you know, another small town that has that same vibe.
Because I just thought maybe it's an out-of-continuity kind of deal, and they're... Because what does that mean, then? I got the eye and the scissors to kill you. It's
because that's the start of the story. That's why he's here at the planetarium, is he got this, you know, the Eye of Zotar and Cronus's time scissors.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah. This is what happens when you read it at 5:30 in the morning.
MacGuffin items that could kill Superman.
Yeah. He basically says, you know, if you use them together, you can cut any genealogical line from history.
Gotcha. Okay. Excuse my ignorance there. That was reading it way too early in the morning. And I missed that part from the beginning.
I'll be honest,
it all makes sense.
I'm surprised you've not read this whole thing like 10 times already.
I would, but playoff hockey has been going on, and that's been taking up my time.
Let's be honest. If we'd been recording just this at the usual time on Saturday, he would have read it a lot more by now.
But then that episode would be like 4 hours long, so you know.
Yeah.
The choices now have to be made. Which takes us on to the story by Francis Manapul. I'm kidding, Connor. The Tom King stories now.
See that look of fear?
I know.
Don't do this to me.
Bro, you know, if there's a Manapul story, I would have.
I'd know about it. Yeah. I know about that.
Yeah, that's all right. It was just the first. I'll be honest. It's the first creator who's not in the book that I thought of, and I went with it. That's all it was.
I'm actually really annoyed about this digital thing. Like, I didn't know about this. I wouldn't mind if I'd known.
So here's a spoiler. It's not going to be in my top 5. You're fine, and it's
not
Neil Adams.
Point.
But here's my thing with Neil Adams. I understand what he did for comics, and like he's a legend, and you know he's a grumpy old man, which is life goals for me.
I think he's one of these guys. He did a lot for the medium in the 70s and 80s and stuff. But I mean, his stuff now is kind of like, you know.
And I have a look to it. Like I tried to read The Reign of the Superman, and it was just ungood.
I don't want to necessarily say that he's in the same league as Frank Miller, but it's a similar kind of journey where you go back to the 70s and 80s Frank Miller, you're in gold. You're in gold the whole way through.
Yeah, 60s, 70s Neil Adams, like him working with Denny O'Neil and whatnot, like that's legendary stuff, and I'm not taking that away. But now, between his Batman Odyssey works and his reign of, you know, Superman, and what's his latest one?
He's a Dead Man.
Question? Oh, Dead Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The art's it's rough, and I get it. He's an older man. Good up to him to, you know, keep it going, but you're not missing that much, Connor.
I know, but it's the completionist in me. It means I'm going to have to go and buy it and read that now.
Your copy's incomplete.
Both of them, I know.
So, Tom King's story with Clayman on the art, and oh boy, the art. I'm so glad I didn't read this when they put it out a few weeks ago. Yeah, they put it out on Twitter, yeah.
I was going to say, not Manapul, but close. Like, Man is slowly creeping up.
Oh, for me, Man's ranking higher, but I mean,
honestly, the standout of this story is Jordie Bellaire. The colours are what makes this what it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the thing, because I know that Man's typically...
he's very good anyway.
He's fantastic anyway, but I mean that with the colouring, because at first you think, is Superman, is he in the sun? You know, it's all, you know, bright and, you know, fiery and red and yellow, and there's, you know, all these sort of lighting effects and all the rest of it. But what this story actually is this is actually Earth. Earth is dying. People have already left. He implies that people have moved on elsewhere, and he even says that Lois has been taking something to still be alive.
It's the Eternity formula. Yeah. You know, it keeps her.
He mentioned Earth's been abandoned for about 4 billion years.
Yeah,
it's a long time.
4 billion.
which is means it's a long time for Lois. Even if we abandon it in the next 20 years, that's Lois is still 4 billion odd.
Aye, and it looks good. He hasn't gone grey at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about John, so we know John's still kicking around.
Yeah, and he basically is sort of like visiting. There's this whole thing where he goes to his parents' grave, like Man Pa Kent. And sort of like, it's almost like he's respecting this place as like not only his home, but that's where they came from. As the Earth is dying, it's very sweet.
Yeah, so as it goes out and it's going to be consumed, and wherever all the humans have gone, you feel like Superman's still shepherding them as he has, but he has to go and pay his last respects, and he leaves that crystal, which I assume is him with the Kents, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it also kind of looks like him with John and Lois too. But
I think that's intentional, just in the sense that whenever they draw John with Superman and Lois, it's meant to evoke imagery of him with the Kents.
Right. And so, and I'm the type of person that when I think of Superman, I think of the Kents first, not the Kryptonians. Like, to me, he's a farmer boy from the small town before he's an alien. And so this one kind of hit me hard, like right in the heartlight, that he's going back and talking to Ma and Pa Kent and how proud he would be, or they would be, of John, because he's just as stubborn as Ma.
It's one of these stories that I wasn't expecting at this point in the issue, because all the others have been looking back, they're the greatest hits, they're all these the past moments. And this one's, it's called Of Tomorrow. It's all about, okay, let's look forwards. And it's one of the only stories here that really does look forwards. The character.
And what I like about it is that it feels like it's the end, but it's not actually the end, because he says, no, humans have all moved on. We're all just, this is your Firefly or your Expanse, whatever. But human beings have just moved to other planets. They're fine.
He's still around saving. Not Earth, but wherever.
Well, yeah. Well, from Legion timeline, right? Like that's the year 3000. So
yeah, this is way past that.
Oh yeah, this is 4 billion, Matt.
Yeah.
3000 is nothing in the face of that.
Yeah. Well, so I haven't seen much Doctor Who, but I remember an episode where they go to the end of the Earth and they're like the last human and whatnot. Yeah.
I think it's the end of season 3.
Yeah. Whenever it was.
Oh, dogs.
I have invaders. Yeah.
So no, there's a very touching story. It's probably one of the most emotionally hitting stories I think in the book, which takes us on to 5 Minutes by Louise Simonson and Jerry Ordway on the art. And this is a story about Perry demanding, Clark, you've got a deadline, 5 minutes. I need that story on my desk because these things are happening. But of course, various disasters start to happen around Metropolis, and Superman has to go save a train. The train conductor, the driver, he's dropped, not quite dead, but he's had a heart attack or whatever. He's passed out, and he's having to stop the train, and he's saving people. He's Bebo needs help. Is it Bebo? That is Bebo, right?
Bebo.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking of Legends. I'm calling him Bebo.
You've got bears on the brain.
I've got Bebo on the brain. Yeah.
Wait, was this about a Bebo the bear?
Bebo the bear.
Bebo
the bear on Legends of Tomorrow, Matt. Let's just say you're missing out.
It is the greatest thing in the CW DC universe, and it needs to be incorporated into the comics.
It is now the Bebo-verse. From henceforth, it is the Bebo-verse.
I'll allow it.
Oh man, I'm so mad.
I don't want to spoil it for the audience, Matt, but I'll tell you something after we're done recording, right?
I'll just say his introduction. He is worshipped by Vikings.
Guys, have fun recording. I have to go catch up on Legends.
So. There's something I want to tell you, Matt, about what happens in the season 3 finale. It's just a mild spoiler to get you excited, but I won't spoil it for the audience. But I'll tell you after we're done recording.
But you should all be watching it because it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a live action cartoon. It's insane. And of course, Superman, he goes around, he saves people in the story. There's a fallen satellite at one point, so he's got the train to save, then he's got the mugging to save, then he's got the fallen satellite. Everything's going wrong, and he gets back. Yeah, he's like, oh, thank God for super speed. He gets it down, and he just about finishes it, and Perry's like, sorry, Kitten, that's old news. We got Superman, train derailments, and everything else. Grab Jimmy, go, off you go. Do a story.
Yeah, I need a front. What does it say? Top of the fold picture.
Yeah.
There also. Yeah. I do love the idea that I've never thought of this before, that the reason why Clark Kent is so bumbling is because he can't actual report because he is the news. You know?
Yeah, he
So,
can't
like,
keep up. As soon as he tries to, it's like, oh well, now there's a new story.
Yeah. So to Perry, he's always falling behind the news because he's busy with other things. Whatever that is to Perry White. But no, he's Superman and he is the news. Like
I like the idea that the Perry thinks
story.
he just goes to the toilet for like 5 minutes at a time, like like however many times a day he does this.
Yeah, he's a nervous bladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this story. I think it was nice to get Louise Simonson in there, bring an older name back as well. I mean, obviously, this is not the only example. Obviously, we're talking about Neil Adams. Not that Connor read that story, but
Jerry Ordway doing the art too.
Yeah, I know. It still holds up.
Yeah, because Ordway he was doing art during the whole the 90s death of and all that, right? He was doing it during that era, if I remember.
Well, yeah, he worked. I know he worked with Johns on JSA and whatnot too, up as late as I want to say 2009. So, but it's still. I mean, that's a classic DC artist as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it gave it that classic feel too. That could have happened in any era. Like they could have just plucked that story from anywhere in Superman's history, and
there's absolutely nothing in it that would say, oh, this is from any particular. I mean, maybe. Not the earliest of earliest because of the suit's more modern, but basically anything from like the 50s to now, this could be from any of those decades in terms of its origin.
There's really not anything that dates it, is there?
Nah.
No.
Which does take us on to the Paul Dini story with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez on the art, talking about classic Superman artists. This is called Action Land. And this was a bit weird at first. Like, what's going on here? We got this woman. It's like a Superman museum, and she's taking the kids around.
All I know is I need to go here.
What's that, Connor?
The theme park, not museum.
Sorry, theme park. And they're going this race. Like, we're going to like be the rocket that left Krypton, and everyone knows who Clark Kent is now. You're going to lift a tractor just like Clark did, and you're going to do all these things.
It's like baby Clark Kent.
Yeah. You see, here's the rogues gallery. Here's all the villains. You get this, you get to fight all the villains who I assume are all nerfed. It's like Westworld. It's all the robots that let you win, basically. And
you're not. I mean, necessarily fighting them on this, tour. You know what I mean? You're watching Superman handle them, and then the Justice League shows up.
In which case, it's a missed opportunity. They should get the Westworld hosts to pretend to be the villains so you can beat them up.
Yeah.
They should.
I just want to point out here in this Justice League. If you look at Supergirl's costume, it's the very was that 60s
70s I think, yeah.
Most of the designs on it are very JLA Year One.
Yeah.
So just turning that page and seeing that, I was like, oh man, I love Garcia Lopez so much.
And then you've just got Mr. Miracle on the end.
Yeah.
Well, he's the end thing now. He's hot thanks to Tom King. So now he's popping up. There's references to him Scott Free popping up all over the place. And any time the page, it's like, oh, but then Superman's final battle, the one that finally put him down at the hands of Mxyzptlk, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then it turns out this entire thing is some weird kinky sex role playing between Mixie and his wife, and it's Mixie, oh, I'm the one who defeated Superman, therefore I'm the end of the story.
Yeah. And he can't come up with the ending good enough to stick the landing. He's because he's not defeated him yet, and he's just like, I can't do it. I can't think of the perfect story.
Well, because that's not Mixie. Mixie doesn't actually want to defeat Superman,
right?
So that reminded me of I haven't read the story in forever, so I forgot how it went. And so spoilers for whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. At the end of that, it's revealed to be Mixie that's pulled all these strings. And it's Alan Moore telling the last Superman story. So that's what I thought this was a reference to. Until you get to that end page where she just kind of is like, well, no, that's not really who you are. You're still just the guy, the imp with the purple hat.
Yeah, you just like the mischief and the fun. You don't actually want to win.
No, exactly.
Let's be honest, if he wanted to win, he'd win.
Exactly. I mean, he could blink him out of existence if he wanted to.
Right, exactly. Not even, have to think about it.
Yeah. And then you get the other imps, which the Thunderbolt's there,
Yeah.
Batmite, and I don't recognize the other one that's there with them.
Me either.
So if anyone knows, hit us up.
I'm sure it's a deep cut, whatever it is.
Yeah. But yeah, Dini, I love how he played with the expectations there. Like, is this a future? Because up to this point, again, it was all stuff from the past, except for the Tom King.
But it's not. It's just a kinky sex stream, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
So no, but it works. No, it works with Mixie. It's a fun story with a fun twist, which takes us on to the next story. And forgive me, the title and credits aren't at the start of this one, so I'll tell you what it is at the end.
Faster Than a Speeding Bullet.
There you
by
go.
Brad Meltzer. Art
there you
by
go.
John Casey.
Brad Meltzer. There you go.
This might be highly rated by me. That's why I know it. So.
That's very good. I don't dislike it. So the whole premise of this is it all takes place in the space of about 5 seconds because there's a hostage situation going on. There's a guy with a gun to a girl's head, and Superman's flying from up in the skyline trying to get to her, and the whole thing plays out very slowly. You see the spark of the gun, the bullets going through the chamber. I love the blur effect of Superman's flying towards her, through the city.
Yeah. Like he speeds up.
Yeah.
And he's narrating everything.
It's the way it zooms in on him as well, isn't it?
Yep.
It has
just shows great motion.
It has that feeling of like I'm thinking of Battlestar Galactica, but they do it in like documentaries and stuff, where usually during like dogfights with planes, they'll do that thing in documentaries where they zoom in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mid shot, like that's kind of what it feels like almost this moment.
And he's talking about how it's just physics. Like, I'm going to do my best to get to her, but it's just physics at this point. I'm going to be too late. I was too far away.
It's just math. It's numbers. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. It's like, this is my speed. This is the distance. That's how I've got. I can't do this.
But what he doesn't account for almost is that she actually affects the outcome by just distracting him, just making him nudge enough that it's going to take that extra split second for the gun for the bullet to get there. And it's just Superman bolting in and just putting his hand right next to her head and grab, so the bullet hits his hand instead. It's a really simple little story, but I actually do like how effective it is. It's the sort of thing, though, if it was a joke issue, you could almost have the flash speed in at the last second and do it instead.
Yeah.
And just have Superman be like, damn it, Barry.
Yeah.
I was almost there.
At the end, because the girl's name was Lila, and what killed me is Superman's like, that was very brave. And she goes, I just said what Batman would do. Right? Yeah. And she's like, that's a joke. And then I'm just going to read it. He goes, I knew that. I mean it, though. You should think about joining the police. And he says, you sound like my dad. We're all here for a reason. And then he just up and leaves, and it's a classic Superman pose. He goes, your dad's a smart man. Yeah. And then he has a conversation with Lois about that. And, oh, man, this just made me feel all warm and fuzzy. Because I was worried he wasn't going to make it. Because Brad Meltzer that's the guy that killed Sue Dibney in Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can go dark.
He can go dark. He's a good writer.
Not in this issue, though.
Yeah.
No,
I will say this.
I was worried about that. But no.
Her name is Lila, and my first thought was, if her last name starts with L, then Lois better worry, because, he's got a thing for these types of people, is all I'm saying.
Lana Lang, Lori Lamaris, Lois Lane. Yeah.
I'm
surprised, hasn't he?
I'm half surprised he's not tried to bang Lex shit. But do you know what? That's what the whole rivalry is. It's just homoerotic tension they've not established yet. They've not come to terms with it, and it's leading to all this aggression. And that's all.
Got to be an Elseworlds already, right?
I'm sure it is. It's definitely a slash fiction somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt about that.
Superman uses heat vision on his head, and it makes a sort of glitter ball type effect. So the red beams going off everywhere. Anyway, but no, I agree.
Looks like his brain, though.
Yeah, this was a solid, actually. Faster Than a Speeding Bullet was solid.
And when Cassidy has time, his work is phenomenal.
So good. Yeah.
I will
Superman I like is he looks like a regular dude. He's not this big, imposing, muscle-bound guy. He looks like a regular dude, but he's still big, like you can tell.
I will say
but he seems like a normal Joe.
I like the art a lot, except I think the last page suffers a little bit. I think Superman's face is just a little bit on the weird side.
Yeah, I think that's Cassidy, though.
Yeah, I think it's just that second panel where his eyes are slightly offline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. Also, the way he's flying away, though, I think his knees are a little bit weird. It kind of feels like he's like at a glance, it almost doesn't look like his knees actually bending. It's just he's got a really short leg. I don't know. It's weird. It looks the proportions.
With the shading, I got that it was supposed to be bad.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. It just looks a little bit, I guess, flat to me. I guess rather than his knees actually sticking out, if that makes any sense.
I got you.
But like I say, I like the art in the rest of the issue quite a lot. It's just that last page that I thought was a little bit rougher compared to the rest of it. Which does actually lead us on to the final story of
the big one
of the book. Yes, the Bendis and Jim Lee story. I want to congratulate Jim Lee for completing all 8 pages without needing a fill-in. First and foremost, let's give him a round of applause. Jim Lee,
honestly,
8
this
pages.
is the real reason it was delayed. It wasn't so they could get it for the birthday. It was like, hang on, Jim Lee's doing the main event at the end. We better give him an extra month.
Extra month? No, these 8 pages are why he didn't finish the first issue of the Immortal Men. He had to finish these 8 pages.
So I'm just gonna say that let's give Jim Lee congratulations. But that first panel is the same panel from Hush, from when Batman knocks him the poison ivy.
Yeah. That wonderful page where Batman punches Superman. It's a great page.
Yes, is where it comes from. So I open up, I go, son of a bitch, he recycled it.
Reusing his work.
Yeah.
Self-plagiarism.
Yeah.
No,
hey,
Jim
it's
Lee
not.
has to get a hold of this. I didn't call you a hack. That was Connor. I'm just saying.
There's nothing wrong with tracing if you're tracing your own drawing.
Yeah, I'm just reusing it and recoloring it and taking the green out because his neck is very exposed. And that was I'm just saying.
That looks like Zack Snyder's Superman's had a go at him.
Yeah. But this story. So.
Before we get into it.
Okay.
I want to build this up because obviously Connor's been saying for months that he's not looking forward to Bendis, right? He's worried. Bendis was coming. He knew it was coming, and he was worried. But unlike us, it wasn't a sweet message.
Jokes I'm not gonna make.
It wasn't a sweet message to him. To him, it was a warning. It was a warning sign of things to come. A plague. A harbinger.
Bendis to a plague, Peter.
A harbinger of doom. Oh, goddamn hair in my mouth. I can't get it.
That's what you get for having 3 cats.
It is. That or the beard. It's one of the two. Anyway.
Peter looks like he's slowly turning into a cat person. This is great.
I got it! Yeah, you fucker. Right. So.
Well, we can just turn our explicit.
Oh god, Bendis came indeed. So,
oh no.
So the story here is basically like it's almost like at the start of a TV show you get the scene towards the end of the story and then it'll like jump back. This feels like that scene for this story for Man of Steel. It feels like this actually takes place somewhere in issue 5 maybe of Man of Steel. Yeah. And it'll, this is us getting.
Is Jim Lee doing an issue of Man of Steel? Because maybe he'll just reuse these pages.
I can't remember. I don't think so. I don't remember him being listed. But there was 6 different artists, so it's kind of hard to remember. Doc Shaner's doing one.
So I know Ivan Reis is doing one of them, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. I'd have to double check who the 6 artists are. I don't remember Jim Lee being one of them. I'll be. That'll be why I didn't finish the Immortal Men. If you had to fit in a whole issue of a book,
right? And I don't think he is, but if he is, it's like, well, here's 6-8 pages done already. I only need to do another 12.
Hey, now to be fair, I don't think they're reusing these pages. I think we'll tell in that issue that this took place. It'll be clear that this happens in there, but I don't think we'll reuse these 8 pages in that issue because that'll feel quite cheap. I'm not buying an issue just to find out I already had half of it. And
no, I'm with you.
Action 1000. So it's a tease for this coming story, and we get a glimpse of this villain. Obviously, I don't want to talk about the final line, the reveal at the end. I want to save that and talk about that on its own. But basically, Superman's getting his ass kicked. This villain's jumping out. There's some impressive action sequencing. Supergirl shows up and tries to help fight as well. Gets some punches in, gets whacked as well. And it's kind of in traditional Bendis fashion. It's kind of from the perspective of these 2 bystanders who try to help Superman. The idea that there's these 2 people trying to, who are being good and trying to help him and protect him when he's not able to defend himself. And it's kind of from their perspective. So that's the gist of the story. But before I ask Matt what he thinks, before I give what I think, I want to start this with what did Connor think?
Honestly,
I hate you
so much right now. I think it's not bad. It's inoffensive. I think it's pretty standard and just okay. It's a standard Superman story, and then I get towards to the end. I go, ugh. It actively unexcites me.
Right. Well, we'll save the end. Like you say.
No, that's fine. But I think the design of the villain is really uninspired.
No, I'll give you that.
I'm not holding that against Bendis.
No. I'll give you that one. I think the villain, he looks like a cross between Doomsday and I don't know.
It's Doomsday if you peel some skin off.
Yeah, but he's got a giant axe.
He does have a giant axe. I think the villain does look kind of generic and comic booky, for better or worse. Here's my thing with Bendis, though. I don't typically necessarily rate his like villains in the plot. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, because that sounds really negative. But what I mean by that is, what he does really well is characterization, and how the plot affects the characters. So, I'm not necessarily worried that I don't think his villain looks that exciting, because it's more the implications and what the impact and the fallout of the character is going to be from what happens with the villain.
In his Daredevil run, Matt Murdock is Daredevil's biggest villain.
Oh yeah, he goes through absolute hell.
Yeah, so and it's all the decisions that Matt has to make in order to be Daredevil that end up getting him into trouble. So I look at what's revealed at the end of this and think, okay, well, what's Superman going to do at this? You know, like, how is he going to become his own villain?
What we'll say. I mean, I did like it. I suppose I'll get that out of the way. Matt, did you enjoy it? Yes.
Oh, definitely. Anytime you can start with Superman just getting the tar beat out of him, because it's so really rare to see, and I like when you can give him a physical threat. I mean, Geoff Johns' Brainiac, when Brainiac's revealed, and he's this big hulking guy. It got me. So
again, going back to the idea of it's from this perspective of the two bystanders, and they're the most Bendis-y in terms of dialogue for sure. The way they're talking
big time when they're talking about how heavy he is, and they're talking about, oh, he has the red shorts on, huh?
Yeah.
You know?
So I think what that does for it is, again, going back to the idea that it's kind of sweet that they're helping him, but it kind of sells the threat that there's two just normal people trying to drag Superman off the street because he's getting the shit kicked out of him. And of course, that's when Supergirl shows up during this, and she kind of holds the fight for a little bit during this. And I think the action's quite impressive when it gets going. I think what I'm sold on from this is how he's going to treat the... How do I put this? How he's going to treat how Superman's supposed to feel and how important he is to the people around him. I'm already getting that sense from how these characters interact with him.
It already has more development for Metropolis than anything in the DCEU. Like, you could spoon feed us and tell us that the people cared about Superman, but there's more in these 8 pages of like
I agree.
Actually caring about Superman than anything in any of those movies. So, you know. And this
I'll
is
give you that, but it's not that strong a praise, is it?
Do you know what I like? Actually, the villain, for 2 reasons, reminds me of Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, right? Yeah. For 2 reasons. One, it's the teeth, very Nemesis-like, and then 2, the fact that he's jumping out of buildings going, Kryptonians! Because in Resident Evil 3, Nemesis is a beast that's designed to hunt members of the STARS team, so he walks around going, STARS! This reminded me of that, with them going, Kryptonians!
I think I saw that movie version. That was super terrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want no part of it.
No.
Want no part of it. So I like that Kara's got a part here. I like that Kara swoops in and gets into the fight.
He calls... So the bad guy's name is Rogolzar. Or Rogolzar.
Oh, you make us go, Matt.
Pronounce it. What? Oh, no, Brainiac.
Right. Takes your mic a second to adjust, Matt, after you plug your mic in.
Am I good now?
You're good now, yes.
Okay. So his name's Rogolzar. Where's the R? However we're pronouncing it. And he calls Kara a cousin sister. What the hell's that supposed to mean? Like,
I assume just female cousin.
Yeah, but I don't know. With the way that he speaks and with which he seems to understand Kryptonian culture, like, I feel like this is part of the retcon that Bendis is going to drop on us coming up.
Well, you think they're going to do some sort of weird thing where they're actually brother and sister?
Yeah, so if you use the traditional, the John Byrne Man of Steel origin with the birthing matrix, if it's from the same DNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're all being cloned from like this, well, not cloned, but created in a lab, essentially, you know, that would change family dynamics, you would think. So, I don't know. I think I'm reading into it too close.
I think you probably are. I just took it as, like, country speak, almost. Oh, not that he would be speaking in country speak, but just...
But
I think it's just a way of differentiating between male and female cousins, because obviously cousin is neutral.
Yeah.
Whereas you have then sister and brother. So
but it's also those hints that we got from what was it, Brian Cunningham, over Twitter.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember,
okay.
it said that there's big things coming up that changes Kara.
Yeah.
That and we know that her book just hit 20 issues and is gone now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, as long as the plan for Kara is not to kill her, I'm okay with whatever they're going for here.
I feel that he has big things planned for her, and I don't think that just throwing that word out there like that.
I do like that it feels like she's going to be used in the sense that she would show up to help Superman fight because she's just as powerful. Like she should be kind of as part of that world in that sense. So I'm glad that she's kind of featuring here, even in this story, because this is. I mean, obviously she's standing around in like the first story, but this is the only story where she has like a prominent kind of entrance and part of it. I will say actually, and this is obviously a compliment to the art as well, is when Superman actually starts fighting with him, particularly the page where he hits the glass against the bookstore, and then he gets driven through it in the next page. I actually think the action is really exciting. It's really impressive.
This is probably the top Jim Lee work I've seen in a while.
Yeah,
he hasn't done much.
He brought his A game. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this was scripted because obviously Marvel are much looser on their scripting of giving the artists much more leeway in what they do compared to DC traditionally. Although we did have some reports recently that DC were going to be trying the Marvel method, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on the team because I know that Snyder and Capullo, at first they were at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And then over time, they developed a shorthand where basically Snyder would drop off the script to him in his mailbox and then go, look, this is what needs to be in the scene. Feel free to do the rest.
Yeah. So I assume
so Snyder
Bendis
gave in is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, it wasn't that, though, but Capullo would also leave room places because he knew there was going to be 15 word bubbles sometimes.
Oh, so, let's say that shade from Matt. That was a salty little dig there.
Yeah, I like Snyder. It's fine.
I like Snyder, but he used to calm down the dialogue.
Well, on certain things, when he goes into tech stuff, like that's what killed Zero Year for me. Like, the last issue of it just did not leave a good taste. But, Metal was fine. Metal was great. I loved Metal.
I quite enjoyed Metal myself. Looking forward to stuff. But anyway, so let's talk about this last page. So he gets Superman down. He gets his big sword axe out because the bottom of it's a big blade as well. So it's like an axe and a sword in one, Matt. It's the whole thing. Yeah. He says, your bloodline must end. So he's after Kryptonians, as kind of was obvious by him shouting, Kryptonians! As he was going around. But this is for Kryptonian. The Kryptonian sickness finally ends today, just like I once promised Jor-El. Then he stabs Superman in the chest, right through the emblem, and says... And it goes black at the bottom. It says, when I destroyed the planet Krypton. And then, to be revealed in Man of Steel. That's your end of your book and your story. So here's the thing. Right? I don't particularly like this thing at the end. But it doesn't necessarily bother me either, if that makes any sense.
It annoys me because it feels like just change for the sake of it. In the same way that a lot of stuff in the New 52 did. This kind of feels like that to me. Of like, well, we have a perfectly good origin that we've been using. This is just like, oh, hey, let's do something new just because we can.
Well, no, but here's the thing, Connor. This is not new to Bendis or New 52. As far as I'm concerned, this is the exact same thing. Every single time someone wants to take their big crack at Superman, they always try to add something into the Krypton part of it, the origin part of it.
And I hate it every time.
I agree. I wish they'd stop doing it. Move forward, do new things. But because they all do it, I'm just kind of like, whatever. But he was always going to do this.
So I'm open to Bendis because I've yet to be disappointed really by Bendis. So that said, you guys already brought up change for the sake of change.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Krypton got destroyed by its own ignorance and
as do I, actually. Yeah.
So because it makes it tragic that Superman being the last of his kind is due to the Kryptonians. It's not due to anybody else.
That's it.
So the fact that you're going to give him a victim complex now because this guy wiped out Krypton to settle some whatever it is, I don't know if I like that. But that said, we don't know anything about this guy, and he could be lying.
He could think he destroyed Krypton and didn't really. That could be the ultimate reveal. There's lots of ways for us to go, which is why I think it's pointless in getting angry or whatever.
That's it. That's what I said. I didn't enjoy that final reveal because, like you guys said, it was kind of like okay, one of these again. Unless it's Brainiac destroying the planet, I really don't need it to come from external sources.
Well, I think part of the reason why I like that it's Kryptons themselves and their own ignorance that lead to their demise. I like that because it feels topical, especially now more than ever. And it feels kind of oddly cheap to change it to no, a big alien dude did it. There's no lessons to learn here about Earth.
Because that's part of the thing. That's why he was the only rocket to get off, because they said no, we're not leaving. And we've just gotten a lot of these stories between, Green Lanterns and then that story in Superman about the planet's being destroyed and the other people. Oh no, that's God's will. We can't leave. But
like I say though, I think it's pointless to get even remotely upset about this just now, because even if it turns out to be true, that doesn't necessarily mean, because the actual writing could otherwise be fantastic through everything he's about to do. And
Connor,
look, I'm definitely not upset or angry about it. I'm just, to me, this was like, it was a very, it was fine. It was just standard. It was just like, okay, here's a start of a basic Superman story, and then. And then this went, and here's your cliffhanger, here's your thing, your hook to bring you to Man of Steel. And I went, ugh.
You're going to read it anyway. Reaction. It's fine.
I was like that Bendis, so it's fine. I've wanted Bendis to write Lois for so long. And
that will be good. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this so much, that there's no point in getting like upset or angry now, because I feel like the comic community... and I think it's because comics are so like fragmented. We get such small chunks that people always try to judge the whole story after one issue or after one reveal before letting. Let's see how it plays out and how it resolves before we get upset.
You're saying comic fans are reactionary? And sometimes react to things?
Yes.
I would have never thought.
Just on the occasion, Matt. On the occasion.
Okay. Yeah,
on the occasion. But.
I do agree with what you're saying. I think the problem is this is what they're selling it on. This is what they're saying, hey, come to Man of Steel to find out about this. That's the advert at the back of this.
Yeah, but up till this point, the advert had been Bendis.
Huh?
So, it's not like this was the first sign that Bendis was coming. He had already started.
Well, we had many signs that Bendis was coming.
Yeah, like he gave the signs that he was coming and signals. So, and so, I've seen a lot of people get upset about it and that it's cheap. And it's like, well, let's hold on. And usually, look, I'm usually the one that jumps to conclusions.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's my thing, especially when Gotham's involved in any way. But I've learned, in the last couple of years, especially after 52.
Here's my thing, right? So if this ends up being completely true, he is responsible for Krypton. This will be a couple arcs, and then we'll move on to other things, and it's fine. And we'll forget about it, and we'll move on with our lives. It's not a big deal, because this sort of thing happens in comics all the time. Like I say, my biggest annoyance with this is that every goddamn big Superman writer has to put their mark on the origin and insert their thing to retcon into, what's different about the way Krypton died, or how Jor-El sent him here, or, with Supergirl in the 2000s, it was, Jor-El sent you to kill Clark because, like, he was actually evil and he hated his brother and his nephew.
Yeah,
and so on.
It really doesn't help coming fresh off the Mr. Oz stuff, does it?
No.
No, that's fair.
And to be fair, too, this is all post Doomsday Clock, right? Like, this is what it's supposed to be? Or no?
Don't think so.
Okay.
No, because this will catch up to Doomsday Clock still with the rest of the DCU.
Okay. All right. Well, then ignore me, because I thought it was post and it was going to be like a,
Which does mean when Superman shows up in costume in Doomsday Clock, he should have the trunks.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, in theory.
We've only seen him wake up in bed. We've not seen him in costume yet.
No. We won't see him at the end of the first issue.
Yeah.
So, but no, my point was going to be that whatever happens in the Doomsday Clock could change. You know what I mean? Could change things a little bit going forward, but now that it's...
sure, yeah. Doomsday Clock could retcon it almost immediately, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
You know what I mean?
I do actually think the final page is well told, though. Even if you have a problem with what the reveal itself is, I do think that the going to black, as if Superman's lights are going out, as he says that final line, it gives the final line this sense of importance, even if you aren't particularly thrilled with what that final line is. Yeah,
and as far as we know, the villain, this is the focus of Man of Steel, not so much Superman and Action Comics going forward.
I think so. Yeah, I think this is the Man of Steel story. Yeah.
We'll be done. So even if you don't like it, we'll be done in 6 weeks, right? It's 6 issues, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 6 issues. It starts in the last week of May. So we get a preview in DC Nation in a couple of weeks, and then we start in 5th week of May.
Yep.
So
yeah.
But overall, though, I mean, as much as I complained a little bit about the reveal at the end, I'm actually pretty positive, and I'm excited for Bendis' run here. Seemingly so is Matt, not so much Connor.
I've got little left to add. I don't know. I'm underwhelmed.
All right, remember, folks, if he does drop Superman in action, you have the Connor's Corner option on Patreon to force him to read it, should you wish.
Oh boy.
I want to choke him right now.
All right. Why do you say you want to choke me, Matt? You...
Not you, Connor.
Me. You want to choke me just on the thought that I might be dropping them.
That's fine. Yes, it is. So, okay, I think let's do the best ofs of this first. We'll round out the actual Action Comics. Actually, before we even talk about the best ofs, what do you think of the collection as a whole, the whole issue?
I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was a nice celebration of Superman. And I feel like sometimes Superman gets the short shrift when it comes to these celebrations. So the fact that they really went all out for Action 1000 and his whatever birthday this is, I've lost track.
80th, Matt, come on.
It is 80?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's 38. Holy crap. Sometimes I think it's still 2017, even though we're through April. So, yeah. Excuse my brain. I'm terrible at math. I've also been up since 4:30.
The only reason why I remember it is because it's a nice round number, Matt.
Yes, yeah. I know. But for his 80th birthday and Action 1000, I feel like we got to celebrate why Superman is so great. And people can share in how I feel. Now that means we have Batman's coming up, and it's going to be
Detective. And we'll be doing the same thing next year with Detective 1000. I'm sure we'll get a special episode with all the Batman love.
As if we don't get enough of that.
I'll be making sure there's
a... he gets his day on the when it actually gets to 1000.
There'll be a special overlay. Connor will do a new theme tune just for that one episode. There'll be a lot of effort going into that Batman Day episode.
See, it's all right. The tune for this one, it's already very Superman-y and very heroic.
Oh so yeah, of course, yes.
This one works.
Yes. Next year's Detective Comics episode, there'll be like big drums like Hans Zimmer, and
you're all dark and brooding.
Yeah,
oh no, you got to use the Wonder Woman-esque theme.
You killed my parents.
Do not mention that theme to me, Matt.
What? So when we get to Wonder Woman 1000 or whatever, we need Connor's interpretation of the.
Oh, it'll sound just awful, and you'll be like, "What is this shite?" And I'll be like, "That's what it sounds like to me."
Yeah, it's just him using a table saw on a piece of metal. Like, yeah.
No, I like the. I think 1000 actually is. Sometimes with these anthology books, sometimes you come out being hit or miss, and for the most part, though, I like pretty much all the stories to some degree.
Yeah. There's a couple I'm not super keen on, but overall, much more hits than misses.
The whole thing's a love letter to Superman. You can just feel the love pouring out of it. So it's hard to complain in that sense. So I guess with that, we'll do our picks then. We'll start with, I guess, panel/moment like we normally do in a comic week, but now we're just picking it from the stories of Action Comics 1000. So, Matt, what's your panel/moment?
Oh man, this one was tough because this issue's full of them. It's probably going to be from the Tomasi Gleason story, but it's the 30s where he's fighting the gangsters and he's got the traditional. I just love the way that it's laid out. Crap! Now that I think about it, I also love the car by Koi Pell. Actually, I'm going to change it. It's that sequence of "It's a bird, it's a plane." Yeah, it's a bird, it's a plane.
Are you sure, Matt? You went through about 4 options there. You sure you?
Yeah, sorry, I can't. It's very difficult.
Okay.
Wait, I might no. It's from the car. All right, leave me alone.
Matt, you're locked down now. No more options.
That last one was for effect, I think.
Honestly, I think for me, I think I want to go with the Fast on a Speeding Bullet. I kind of want to go for the flying through the sky. Not just that page, but the page before when it's the shot from behind him. The classic shot with the cape's kind of floating up.
Yeah.
The camera. It's a classic quintessential Superman moment of him flying through the air in the best way possible. Flying to help someone. It's the Superman in a nutshell. So yeah, have that. Connor.
Mine's from the first story. It's with the League and everyone else there, and one woman saying, no, none of us would be here without you, because that's the whole point of this whole celebration.
That's true. Yep. In fact, the funny thing is you could have all the Marvel characters come in and also say the same thing. Yeah. Marvel would not exist without Superman.
Right, and and this is the thing. Everyone is celebrating this issue. It doesn't matter. Obviously we're DC fans here celebrating it, but all the Marvel fans are celebrating it too, because, hey, they all know this is it. This is what started it all.
Yeah. And there'd be no Daredevil without Batman. So when we do Detective next year, they can all suck it up and show respect then too.
I don't think that's true, but that's for another time.
All right, best cover we'll do next. I need to look at them here. So we're not picking the retailer variants. We're just picking all the regular variants and obviously the main cover as well.
Yeah, so it's the decades in the main one, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I actually think out of these, I do like the 90s one, but I think honestly I'm going to have to go with, is that the I assume they're in order, yeah?
Yeah, it should be.
Well, I think it's the 30s. It's the 30s one I'm picking, I think.
Yeah. The 30s is the grey, or it looks like he's holding the train back.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
It looks like a painting. I like it a lot. That's Steve Rude did that cover. It's very pretty. So that's mine.
Connor, you go next, because I'm going to base mine off of whatever you don't pick.
See, I'm pretty sure I know what you're picking, and so I'll go with a different one.
Oh, go on. Yeah. So someone pick the Manipul one, because you're going to do it.
There isn't a Manipul.
Yeah, there is.
No, there's not.
Is there not Manipul?
No, not in these covers.
Oh, it's Middleton.
Maybe
sorry.
Exclusive.
The colours look very Manipul when it was small.
Which one are you looking at?
That's the 80s variant, I think. Yeah.
That's one of the two that I bought. But I'm gonna go with the other one. I think just edges it out slightly, because which is the 2000s, the Liber Mayo one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that one's
Superman, floating in the sky, all the reds and oranges, and it's just gorgeous.
Is Matt going to pick the 90s one with Lois on the cover?
No, he's going 40s.
Yeah, so that's what it came down to, was the Jurgens in the 90s, because that is quintessential Superman. But then the 40s by Cho, it looks like, I can only imagine, had Darwin Cook survived, he would have done the 40s cover, because it feels so much like a Darwin Cook cover. And so that's what I ended up going with. So I have to go with the 40s. It's it looks like an old-timey war bonds.
It's all in the color. It's like these really flat colors, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that actually looks like an old comic. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. I almost picked up. I took it up to the tail, and I was like, no, I really shouldn't be buying 3 copies.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like an old Sergeant Rock comic.
Yeah.
So, but it was good. But I also wanted to shout out the 60s, which my shop didn't have any by the time I got there. It's just Cell Rage.
The all red one, right?
It's all red, but it's got, the gigantic key for the fortress. It's got the original Bizarros. It's got Superman as a mermaid kissing Lori Lamaris. It's just great.
I do like, for each decade, the Action Comics logo matches what it would have been at the time.
So does the DC logo.
Ah, you're right, yeah.
I don't know if you get that on the digital version. I don't know if you're seeing those.
Oh, no, yeah, that's there. All the pieces are there, yeah. Which is nice. So,
even the price tag and the issue number changes.
Yep. So I like the 60s one. The 60s one looks like it looks like it should smell musty. An old comic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the comic shops have to take it out the back and stomp on it a little bit just to make it cold.
Yeah. Like Tarantino did with some stuff from, I think, was it Grindhouse, where they took him outside and drug him behind a car. So they'd have that beat up feel to him.
I do know the that Spike on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when they cast him and they bought his leather duster jacket, they're like, oh, this is really nice, but it needs to look more beat up. They took it outside and drove a car over it.
Yeah, they did that with Indiana Jones's jacket too.
Yeah.
They should have done that with the Constantine jacket.
Yeah.
You know, that's my biggest problem with his costume is his coat's too clean.
Are we talking the show or are we talking Keanu Teen here?
Oh, the show.
Okay, just checking.
The other one doesn't count. It doesn't exist anymore.
Just checking.
Calm down.
I know, he's so precious.
Just saying. Don't remind me that one exists.
All right,
Top
well,
five?
we're on to best art then of the book. So here's a task for you, Connor.
Oh God. I'll give it to Clayman and Jordie Bellaire because that's the standout.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck between that and Gleason because Gleason had all the pin-up style pages for the story. Yeah. It's really good, and I can't fault that. I do think it's Jim Lee's best work in a while, but I still don't like Jim Lee as much as I do some of the people in here.
But everyone's got good. Everyone brought their A game.
Yeah. So. As much as I hate to just pick the same thing, I'm probably have to go with the Clayman as well with Bellaire. Matt?
Yeah. Well, that one was fantastic, but there's something as a Superman fan I've always wanted, and that's Coy Pell drawing Superman.
Yeah, no, I can't deny that.
And so I got that with the car, and it's, as you guys said, it's very moody, and like it doesn't really it matches the tone because it's why Superman's important and whatnot, and why people like him. But it's got that little bit of darkness to it, and just Superman has a presence throughout, like you guys said, with the lights, that hit him when the flashback and whatnot. Yeah. So,
honestly, I'm not sure there's anyone that anyone could have said here that have gone, oh, definitely not that one.
Mm-mm.
No.
All right, then, well, you didn't get it, but it's
Neil Adams. Yeah, Neil Adams is probably the weakest one.
I'll tell you a word for it. Yeah. I'll give a short update on my thoughts on that on Saturday.
Yeah. It's hard not to pick Albuquerque just based off of Albuquerque because I love that art so much.
It is great, but I will say I don't think Albuquerque's necessarily like Superman. I don't think is the best fit for his art style.
Yeah,
that's fair. But I thought here, where he's not doing a lot of actual Superman. He's just it's just Superman and Lex talking, and you got all the stars and the planets going on behind them. I thought it worked really well.
It works well enough, but it's just like I think I would never pick an Albuquerque Superman over someone else who, really pops as Superman.
I do love the way he plays with the shadows, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is why he's great for horror books. Which is why I love when Albuquerque's doing stuff like that.
Even a Batgirl
comes in.
He's good for
yeah. The entrance where he comes in behind Lex in the shadow.
Yeah.
Pretty fantastic.
So that leaves us to do our top 5 stories from the book, and there's about 10 or something like that. So there's quite an amount to pick from here. This is quite tough, actually. I feel like I need a list in front of me of the stories, but we've got from the city that has everything. That's the Jurgens story. We have.
I've got a contents page.
Never ending. You have a contents page. Yeah, you tell us then. I'm scrolling through the pages.
You got Never Ending Battle was next, which is the Tomasi and Gleason.
Yeah.
You have Enemy Within, which was Wolfman and Swan. The Car, of course, Johns, Donner, and Coppell. 5th Season, which was Snyder and Albuquerque. Of Tomorrow, which was King and Man. 5 Minutes, Simonson and Ordway. Action Land, which was Dini and Garcia Lopez. And then Faster Than a Speeded Bullet, which was Meltzer, Cassidy. And of course, the Truth, which was Bendis and Lee. Plus the other one that I didn't get. So,
the Game. That was called The Game. The Neil Adams and
Sneak
Levitz.
Suspicion is not on the top 5 anyway, so it's fine.
Actually, no, it's my number 1, Connor. You missed out not getting that.
People don't know this, that Pete just really loves Neil Adams. Like, how we feel about Albuquerque, he feels about Neil Adams. Well, Albuquerque, Maniple.
I love Albuquerque. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we've been up too long, guys.
All right, Matt, you're going first. So, what's your top 5?
So my number 1 is Faster Than a Speeding Bullet. That story Just it hit me. Plus, I love Brad Meltzer. Like, number 2 is the car. John's come as a surprise. That's another one that hit me. 3 is a Never-Ending Battle by Tomasi and Gleason. And this is where it gets more tricky because I don't know where to place these next 2, but I'm just gonna. 4 is Action Land by Dini and Garcia Lopez for its zaniness and you know mixed. It's gonna see mixy. And then 5 is Bendis and Lee for The Truth.
All right, Connor, top 5.
Okay, my list is going to be pretty different, except that I'm going to share the number 1 spot with Fast and the Speeding Bullet. Yeah. Number 2, I'm going to go with Of Tomorrow. 3 will be the 5th season.
Okay.
4, The Car. 5,
The Truth.
Never-Ending Battle. I'll be honest, The Truth is like last or second last.
Yeah, I really want to put Up Tomorrow in mind, but those other ones spoke to me more as a Superman fan. But yeah, it's also good though.
No, this is really, really, really tough. I'm also going to pick Fast and the Speeding Bullet as number 1. Actually,
I am shocked that we all.
It's the simplicity of it. It's just the simple idea of Superman speeding to save someone. That's all it is. I'll probably put Off Tomorrow number 2, The Car number 3. It's really hard. Probably Never Ending Battle number 4. And then probably The Truth number 5, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I can split those last 2. Actually, no, I think I will. I'll put The Truth number 4, Never Ending Battle number 5. I think just because Never Ending Battle is less of an actual story and more a series of pin-ups. But
and that's why I love it. I love because it plays with the history of Superman in the different eras, and you know, it's almost like a clip show. You know, like,
I will say the reason that the Bendis one is so far down on my list isn't just because it's this is the Bendis one. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's the fact that it's not even a complete story. All the others are short stories, but they are complete stories. Whereas the Bendis is here's a tease, here's a prologue.
Oh, I'm glad it's not a complete story though.
No, but I'm. It's why compared to everything else, it feels weaker. Everything else, I'm getting.
Well, the reason this is the thing though. I would feel this would actually annoy me if Action 1000, if like the milestone issues where they get all the different stories had nothing that was actually the next in continuity story. It would really bug me if it completely ignored that. It does. No, it really does because that's why I like when annuals are part of the main story more than standalones. Usually, they can be great standalones, obviously.
So that's why it edged out of Tomorrow is because of what it's going to mean going forward. It's part of that. This is where he's going.
Yeah, it's the excitement of what's to come. It's all that. Plus, it's well told, and the fighting's really good.
There's that too. Yeah, I mean, and the two ladies talking like that. That was good fun. It's all Bendis.
And let's be honest, we like Bendis speak, so we're okay with it. But
I do.
Honestly, this isn't even to that. When I'm getting like all these short stories, I just want short stories at that point. I don't want just one that's okay. Here's something that's coming. I'd rather just have all of it just be these short, complete stories.
Hell, I'd love if they were all in continuity and like all not necessarily unfinished, but all. I dig that. I don't know. I don't want it all to just be sort of random short stories. That's fine, but I need one thing that is important. Because Action 1000, it should have something important in it that's...
I think the whole thing, just it existing and being the love letter and the short stories is important in itself, and that's enough. I don't need something that's, this is what you get next. Yeah, you can start that next issue. I don't need that in 1000.
Fine.
I don't know.
I disagree.
I'll say the same next year with Detective.
No, Detective should have whatever the next big thing is going to be. Because this is the thing, I'm kind of half assuming the next big run Detective won't actually start until 1001. I think it's going to be a series of fill-in arcs. Probably. Until then,
they haven't got that long to kill.
Because by the time Hill's done his Outsiders setup issue, not that we know there's an Outsiders book coming, of course, not that that's been confirmed or heavily hinted at in any way, shape, or form.
As I like to say, there's an outside chance of it happening.
There's an outside chance of the Outsiders book happening that's clearly been set up, and an arc called On the Outside set up in Detective Comics, and they've already confirmed that the writer's doing a book after his arc. I mean, what could it possibly
with Katana and Black Lightning and Batman, who the only time they're ever on a team is when they're on the outside.
So I, once we get that done, I think we're at something like 15 issues left before 1,000.
That's about right. I think we're in the mid-80s,
And it's keeping up with the double twice monthly. So
for now, I think they will. I think they want this. I think they want to do this again next year for Detective.
Yeah, that's another thing is people are saying 1,000's a lot of issues for Action, but you have to remember that I think in the 70s or 80s it did weekly.
It did weekly for a year, yeah.
For a year, so that sped it up quite a bit.
It sped up a bit. I think in the grand scheme of things of 80 years, though, it's not actually that sped up.
No, but it's the reason why it overtook Detective.
Oh, right. Sure, yeah. Well, because Detective actually started earlier, but Batman didn't show up until 27.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, which will be funny because we'll be celebrating 1,000 issues of Detective next year, but Batman actually hasn't been in all 1,000 of them.
No, it started with what's the one character that was in New Superman?
The Fu Manchu looking dude.
Yeah, well, not just that, but the
Fu on You. Fu on You, that was his name, because I remember laughing at how stupid it was. Fu on You.
Who was the guy at the docks that was fighting all of them? That Keenan had become. Anyways,
can't remember.
That Slime Bradley. Jesus Christ. Again,
go.
I've been up way too long. I can't recall continuity like I used to.
Matt just has annoyed at himself.
He does.
Yes, I am annoyed at myself. So, yeah, it was Slime Bradley. He was the star of Detective until Batman came along. So,
I think we traded up, Matt. I'm gonna lie. I think we traded up.
I think we traded down. That's just me, though.
You would think that.
I would.
Anyway, so that was our favourites of Action 1000. Obviously, it was a huge issue. I think I want to wrap up this episode. Though. Obviously, I mean, normally if this was a regular show, I'd be like, here's what's coming next week. But no, we're actually still in this week. Episode 100 is coming this week, though. We'll be talking about all the books per usual. We're also going to do a top 10, so you can look forward to that at the usual time, and give or take, at the weekend. But to wrap this up, I feel like we should just wrap up by just talking a little bit about Superman, and I want to ask the question, Matt, I'll start with you since you're the one who's the self-proclaimed Superman superfan.
Wait, who likes Superman? Not me. Can't tell by looking at my room.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't have red trunks on over your pants right now. So
don't you have to tell anybody. Don't do it in confidence.
So, why do you like Superman, Matt?
Yeah, so growing up, he was the first one that I'd seen. There was that 1980s Superboy show, and that was on a lot. I don't know why it was on so much, but it was. And then that led my dad to show me the Superman movie, and it was just, from there, it was a go. I as a kid, I had times where I liked Batman a little bit more, but it wasn't until I hit my teenage years that I really found a love of Superman. And he resonates with me. He wants to do good. And I look at it as he's what I want to be. He doesn't get angry and annoyed at things very often. And I wish I could know what that's like.
You never will.
No, I never will. So he does inspire. Like, it's weird that this fictional character created 80 years ago can really do some inspiration. But yeah, he does.
No, I think for me, what I like about Superman is most other characters will adapt to the times, and Superman has a little bit, because obviously just some things are. I mean, again, like we said earlier, he was killing people in the Golden Age. That should have went away because we refined what the character was. We added in things, because flying didn't come till later, Kryptonite didn't come till later, Lex Luthor didn't come till later. All the elements we think of as part of Superman.
I love that Superman's such an amalgamation from the different mediums. Because, some of these things came from the radio show or the TV show. Just, budgetary restrictions on these things or, creative things that they had to show. It's
Kryptonite came from the TV show. It wasn't a thing, or the TV, the radio show.
Radio show, yeah.
It wasn't a thing until then.
And the flying came from the animated show because they didn't want to draw the constant leaping up and down. So it was much easier just to have a still figure and roll the background.
Which is funny because I'm sure when they got to live action later on, they thought, damn it, this would have been easy to just have him jumping over some miniatures.
Probably.
And I've always loved that he does represent, and throughout his entire history, he's represented the common man. He is that guy that, from as far back as Action Comics #1, he was taking out, spousal abusers and drunk drivers and, not the big,
Corrupt businessmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always stood against corruption, and that's why Lex Luthor's a perfect villain for him.
I think what I was getting to there is that whilst everyone else adapts, I think that there's an element of Superman where when people say, "Oh, he's outdated, he's cheesy, or he's this, he's that," like, no, the whole idea of Superman is he represents the ideal of trying to be better, and that's why he is for lack of a better term, he is the Boy Scout, because he is the one who's trying to be better no matter what you throw at him, he will try to maintain that, because it's worth kind of trying to inspire that. And the idea that you should try and, not everyone's going to make it all the time. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has their weaknesses. Put me in front of a cake. Watch if I don't sniff it after a couple minutes. But Connor gets that joke.
Part animal?
Matt does not get that joke at all, because he's not been watching Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
No, I haven't. I don't. Play off hockey, Pete. Come on. Very difficult.
To be honest, the hockey does sound pretty good.
It is.
Playoff hockey? What? Oh, yeah, you might go watch hockey. Well, tough. Hey, 80 years, the least you can do is 80 minutes.
No, Knights clinched. They're fine. They swept the Kings.
Okay.
They're the Kings Spears. So we're good until next Wednesday. But yeah, I'm just saying, I haven't had time. Behind on everything. But back to Superman.
But yeah, so no, just the idea that the point is he doesn't change. When people say, "Oh, he should change because he's not edgy enough," or "He should change because he's not cool," I'm like, that's the point. He's not supposed to be cool necessarily. He's supposed to be good no matter what. And
Captain America quote of "No, you move," and I feel that encapsulates Superman more so than Captain America. Whereas time changes, and everyone's going to tell you need to move, and it comes to a point where if you believe in these values, and believe this is what it's all about. And it's like, well, no, everyone else can move. I'm standing my ground. And that's why Superman, I think, has lasted 80 years.
Yeah. Superman, of course, a much better character than Captain America as well. Don't at me.
Goes without saying. Go ahead, at me. I'll take you on.
I'm going to yell that at my wife real quick and see how she responds, because she loves herself some Captain America.
No, did she love Captain
She
America?
loves Chris Evans.
Yeah, she loved Chris Evans, yeah.
True. She loves Chris Evans.
Yeah, there's a difference.
I kid you not. She watched the same video of him rescuing a dog from a dog shelter 18 times.
Sounds about right.
So, anyways, Superman.
Yeah, I think he has this balance, and I think one of the things that I like when talking about him and Batman together is that they actually both have that unchanging quality to them. Where they're both stubborn to their ideals and their core. They go about things very differently. There's differences in elsewhere, but I think there's that core. No. This is who I am. This is what I fight for, and I am not backing down from that, no matter what that they share.
Yeah, it's always funny to me that a lot of people will say, Batman's their favorite, Batman's the most popular, but Superman's the one that permeated pop culture in a way that even Batman hasn't. And I remember, the first thing I ever saw to do with Superman was I was 4 maybe, and it wasn't even Superman itself. This was a British kids puppet show called Sooty, and it was a bunch of hand puppets. And one of them was called Sweep. Is this dog, and they did a Superman episode where the dog came from Krypton and did the whole rocket. They did the whole thing, and that was obviously before I even knew the concept of this. I was I was 4, but this is before before I'm even watching Batman animated series, anything like that. It's okay, this is there in everything.
I saw that episode, Connor, and all I could think was I was 4 years old is. DC's lawyers were coming for their money. They were ponying up.
Oh yeah, they definitely were.
There's a dog from Krypton, and it's not crypto. Weird.
Yeah.
Or Super Pup, Bark Ben. I don't know if you're familiar with the pilot that never went anywhere, Matt.
Yeah.
So in the box, you can watch the pilot for The Adventures of Super Pup. There's a dog called Bark Ben who's secretly
That's
Super
fantastic.
Pup.
Right? He should be rolling around with Captain Carrot and Zoo Crew.
It's the worst thing ever, Matt. Don't kid yourself.
I don't know.
It's the worst thing ever.
Again, I'm the guy that believes that there could be a good Zan and Jaina story out there. The right person to tackle it. So.
My first exposure to Superman was probably the first movie. Watched that as a lot as a kid. Had that 3 and 4 taped off TV. I don't think I saw 2 till a little bit later. I don't think it was until the DVD that I saw 2.
So you're like, who's Lex Luthor and why isn't Richard Pryor in more comics?
Lex Luthor's in the first one, Matt. What are you talking about?
What did you said you had 3 and 4 taped
I
off?
said 1, 3, and 4.
Oh, I missed the 3 and 4, or the one before 3 and 4.
Yeah, 1, 3, and 4.
Gotcha. So you know.
Yeah, and 4 didn't seem so stupid as a kid, but obviously, once you get into the double digits, it's like, wait a minute, there's something not quite right about this movie.
Still rather watch that than BVS.
I would too, because it's stupid enough I laugh at it.
And it's hard, it was in the right place. Right?
Yeah, Christopher Reeve helped develop the story of that one. That's the thing. Which is one thing we should probably mention here is all the actors who've played Superman and the dreaded Superman curse that's kind of befell a few of them.
All that's happened to Tom Welling is he's fallen into obscurity.
He's back on TV again now.
He's on Lucifer, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forget this. Oliver Queen, Stephen Amell had posted a picture where they were at a con together.
Yeah.
And it took me a solid 5 minutes to realize who it was.
No, that's the thing. I saw that and I'm like, huh. Yeah, and I'm going, you're telling me that's Tom Welling, but I'm having to actually look to see it because I think I said this to Peter like a couple of weeks ago. It's like in the 5-6 years it's been off the air, he has aged more than the 10 years that when it was on the air.
Well, 8 years now, but yeah.
7.
2010 it finished.
11, surely.
I don't know. I never saw the last season, and you all made me so horrified to go back and try to watch it. So.
I sort of skimmed through it. I didn't really. I think about the last few seasons, I was just kind of, it'll be on, and I'll do other things.
Jimmy Olsen's secret agent did me in season.
I've said it before, but I'll always have a soft spot for Smallville, even though it's not good. It's the thing that got me to go and read comics.
Yep, it springboarded me there. That and I mean. Access, Wizard Magazine.
It was Batman Begins who got me into comics, but no, I am not fond of Smallville. Do you want to know why Tom Welling's looking so sort of rough and old and kind of he's put on weight? I think he found out what his co-stars were up to, and it's just made him go. Like, he's just lose himself. He's just like besides himself.
Well, Rosenbaum's come out the other side. He seems to be pretty well adjusted.
Sure. What's he even been in recently, though? I feel like I've not seen him in anything.
His name got brought up on a podcast I was listening to the other day, and I can't remember to what. But
is he still doing a lot of voice work?
Yeah, he does a lot of voice work. Yeah. He's grown his hair back. So
it's been 8 years, and even then, he had to wear a bald cap in the finale because he'd not been in the show for like 4 years at that point.
He might have gone bald again by now.
That's true. Yeah.
But so he hasn't been. It's not his fault. He hasn't been able to be the best Superman, but I think Cavill still has a lot of potential if they get the right.
I think so. I mean, obviously, I think he has potential. Obviously, it's been wasted in the scripts that he's been given and the movies he's been in.
Whedon hit on it. He scratched that.
Oh, he was trying his best. He did what he could. But
every time you see him in an interview or a panel for a convention, he just oozes charisma.
He smiles.
I know. It's like, you don't even need to do anything. This guy, just stick him in the suit and make him smile, and that's it.
Let him be himself, because I feel like him and Clark Kent are pretty similar in their demeanors. Where I'm talking about Smallville Clark Kent, not playing up the part at the Daily Planet, But yeah, he just smiles
Lois.
And he laughs.
Garly,
exactly.
That's swell.
It does remind me of the story about Christopher Reeves where he walked through the cafeteria. No one looks at him. And he walks through like 10 minutes later with the costume on. Everyone just turns and stares.
Exactly.
Because it's just the ability to just shrink into the two different roles essentially.
Yeah.
Well,
also how he carried himself.
You made the classic sin there. You called him Christopher Reeves. It's Reeve. It's George Reeves, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know why I said the wrong.
I do it all the time typing just because it'll autocorrect one to the other.
Yeah.
And it annoys me. But I know I'm talking.
I think for a lot of us, Christopher Reeve is Superman because that's the one we grew up watching. There's a reason why Gary Frank basically just steals his face when he's drawing Superman. That's the thing. So
poor Brandon Routh.
He's the Atom now, though. I think I was the Atom first now, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's because of his go as Superman wasn't as good.
And he's
like,
screwing things up on Legends constantly. His real life wife was on there. They were flirting.
He's another one where it wasn't his fault. He had potential.
I also don't feel like he should have been Clark Kent. Or he could have been Clark Kent, not Superman. He doesn't have that presence. I don't think. He always looked weird in a costume.
Hey, it's not as bad as Bosworth as Lois Lane, who we've not mentioned too much actually, because it's Lois Lane's birthday as well. She was also an action number one. So
my favorite comic lady, Lois Lane.
Best portrayed by Terry Hatcher in Lois and Clark.
Yes, I will not argue that. She is fantastic.
That's what I'm batting for.
I think we're all on the same page on that one.
Yeah, I think Lois and Clark has the best Lois and the best Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great Ghost Elvis.
Yep.
You guys can't tell because it's out of frame, but on right over here is a Lois and Clark poster with her wrapped in the cape, and then Dean Cain has a Superman symbol drawn on him in the same exact spot I have my Superman tattoo up here. So
is that what you did? You went to a tattoo parlor and went, "Hey, I want this right there."
No. Funny is I went in to buy the Superman the movie poster, and they threw that one in because they were trying to get rid of it, right? Because who else is gonna buy this? There has to be some Superman nut. And I went, "That's funny," and I rolled up my sleeve, and the lady goes, "Huh, that is weird. Same arm, same spot." But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't have the muscles of the young Dean Cain to really sell it.
No, but they're getting there, So
yeah, all that time in the gym's got to pay off eventually, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did humble brag here. I did measure them, and they're at 19 inches. So
maybe when we're 4 billion years, and the Earth's dying, maybe at that point, might look like Dean Cain.
That's fine.
I say that Dean Cain's an older man now.
Don't go to his Twitter, guys. You're gonna be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, he's a bit of a nut job, isn't he?
Yeah, that's so sad.
I know. What's his face? Because he was on Supergirl, but also was Sorbo, old.
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo.
What was he? Hercules. That's what I was trying to think of what his show was. It was Hercules.
Disappointed. Yeah.
Aye, that one. But hey, so Superman's a big thing. Superman's 80 years young and no sign of slowing down.
Yeah, he's still 26, really.
Pretty much.
They put him up there with John. He's closer to 30, 36 anymore, but that's all right.
I mean, sure, that in the last couple of years, probably.
Mm-hmm. I always felt like when they de-aged him to the 25, 26, it was always kind of a mistake, because not that he needs to be the elder statesman, but he kind of needs to. Him and Batman both kind of need that older guy kind of vibe, that kind of commands respect.
And even Wonder Woman to an extent. I feel the whole Trinity should feel a bit older than everyone else.
Yeah, you can make Hal Jordan 25, 26, or even Barry, even with all the Flash shenanigans. That I feel works. But Superman, Batman, even Wonder Woman definitely should have an elder statesperson kind of deal to them. That when they talk, you want to listen because they are who they are. And at 25, 26, it doesn't feel like they've had that much life experience.
Doesn't feel authentic.
Presence. No. So yeah,
So yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done with our Action Comics 1000 special. Of course.
Did we get to the 80 minutes?
Oh, we're past that. We're at 100 minutes. I think it's safe to say that our 100th episode this week will also be over 100 minutes. We're usually over 100 minutes. 2 hours is pretty much normal.
This is why we're doing this now.
Exactly.
Exactly. It was a loaded week.
It would legitimately be a 4-hour show on the weekend if we didn't do this in advance first. So here is your special. Of course, we'll be back with our 100th special episode as well later this week. We've got a bunch of comics. Mr. Miracle was out this week, so obviously we always have a good chat about that. New York on Batman by Tom King. We're finally getting Jessica's Past and Green Lanterns. The final of the Justice League arc with Priest.
Yeah.
So
we've got more Superman to talk about.
More Superman. The final issue of the Tomasi Gleason run, although kind of. It's the final regular issue, but there's a special coming next month as well. So you got all that coming. amongst
Super
other
Sons.
stuff. And Super Sons, yeah, keep it Superman focused. So all that stuff coming in the regular episode, plus a top 10 like we did for episode 52, because 52 DC, the whole thing. But hey, so let us know what you thought of Action Comics 1000 in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the usual things. Get us on the Twitters at DC Comics Podcast. You can find Matt at
Matt of Steel 57. Keep it on brand.
You can find Connor at
Conrad 94.
And you can find me at Wibble89. And if you want to support the show and support the channel, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a bunch of things over there. Actually, we got a really nice idea from one of our patrons this week, which I think I'm going to implement. I've not even told Connor about it yet, but I imagine he will not object to this idea. So basically, for Streams After Midnight and 121 in Flux, we have the Vault in the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to introduce a similar, the companion to that for Comics from the Multiverse Monthly episode, which is a bonus episode you get if you're a patron at the $5 tier. This is the same kind of thing. It's basically a wish list, a to-do list that our patrons can submit trade paperbacks and collections to, and we in the future might pick one for an episode, or we might put them in for a vote for 1 month, that kind of thing. So that'll be getting added to the Patreon over the weekend as episode 100 goes up.
Calling it the library.
Nah, that's too boring. I want something more DC-y.
The Fortress.
Fortress ain't bad.
Uh-huh.
Fortress ain't bad.
On the Domino's app, that's what I have my house listed as. So when I need to deliver
Of course you
the
do.
Fortress.
I don't know. It's like the secrets behind the source wall. I don't know. I have no idea what you call it. That's too long.
The Fifth World.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Fourth World, it's Fifth World. No? All right,
Call it the
come on, let's go.
Batcave, just to upset Matt.
We can do this speculating off there. They don't need to hear all
Yeah, they can. There's a title for that
unless,
coming.
of course, they
Bibbo
have a
the Bear.
great suggestion.
All right?
That's true.
Bibbo, whoever. Like, let's go.
the Bebo box. I don't know. Okay, that is us. So once again, thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. This has been our extra special Action Comics 1000 episode. Check out our 100th episode of our regular show this coming weekend. Thank you once again, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Up, and away.